Okay, Bitcoin's last stand. Bitcoin, will you do it? Will you do it to us? Let's get a few people in the chat here and then we will get going. Today we have a very, very special day because it's not often that you encounter one of the absolute biggest levels in all of Bitcoin's history. And that is exactly where we're at. We're essentially at the moment, at the level that would confirm or deny whether this administration has added almost any value to Bitcoin and crypto as an asset class, as measured in US dollars. And that is because we are at, by far, one of the most important levels we've ever gotten to, which is, of course, as you know, the weekly support. And here you can see under this, it gets pretty brutal. To be fair to us, to be fair to the crypto folks, there's a lot of room under here and there are a lot of levels and we're going to go through all of them here. But this is really important. We need to see this level hold. This is the most important level on the chart. And this one is likely to give us some kind of mean reversion. And if it doesn't, I think it's a very, very strong signal as to where we are as an industry. Now, we have gone through a huge, huge correction already. We have seen Bitcoin already come down almost to over 40%, almost 41% or 42%, which is not too far off from the 50% or so 2019 mean reversion that a lot of us are targeting or hoping for. But it's important that we realize that we must take this level by level. We must just be objective. We must understand that Bitcoin is actually functioning much the same as every other asset. We have gold, silver, Bitcoin, all the same charts today. Now, of course, they weren't the same over the last few months. That's a different story. But today, look at them. They are identical. So there is a massive risk off happening. Of course, S&P is still doing okay here, but there is a massive risk off happening, and Bitcoin is a part of that. And so the question is, why is this happening? And we're going to talk about that today because we've managed to put up some pretty impressive numbers. Look at this. We have our new sacrifice. Our new sacrifice for 2026 is Mr. Tom Lee. We thank you for your sacrifice, Mr. Tom Lee. We thank you for your sacrifice. Every year, we must sacrifice one of our best and brightest, and this time it is Tom Lee who has the single biggest drawdown, maybe the single biggest drawdown of any publicly traded vehicle in history. We know that. No, I guess Luna is technically more, but he's now up there. He's on the list. He's a top 5 effective. He's one of the biggest losers, right? If you remember that show, The Biggest Loser, it's Tom Lee, Mr. Tom Lee. Shout out to you. Of course, I don't think that this will end this way. He's just going to diamond hand. He's going to keep doubling down. If you know anything about Tom Lee, that's how he does things. He's just going to diamond hand and diamond hand and diamond hand. And if you were here in 2018, you would have had flashbacks because all of 2018, I remembered as Bitcoin was collapsing from 20K all the way down to its eventual target of 3K. Every day we'd have Tom Lee come on CNBC and say, I think the thing will rip to 100K any day. And so I was like very not a fan of Tom Lee for many years because of that, because I ended up diamond handing to zero pretty much listening to him. But in the end, he won, right? Because if you diamond hand in markets that are measured against US dollars, where they're going to print dollars and the markets will eventually go up, you'll eventually be proven right. And that's why the Moon Boys and the delusional bulls win in the end. But the point is, I think we are all delusional bulls. That's the point. We are all mega bulls. We wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here on EllioTrades smashing that like button like you're about to. 1, 2, 3, smash, please. Come on, there's only 5 of us left. Smash the like button, all 5 of us. I better see at least 5 likes on this video. I appreciate you guys, okay? Let's all get together. Let's make as much money as we can each and every day. Let's crush it. Let's buy the lows, whether we're here or whether there are ultimate lows below this. No one can say. Obviously, it doesn't look so good today, but let's make the most amount of money. On the way down, on the way up, let's run it back. And let's stay objective. That's the game. I told you guys on the last video, I have a new name. I have a new bio, Seeking Truth with Convexity. And this is the name of the game because just blind excitement for crypto taking over, it didn't work for us last cycle. So we got to switch it up and we got to iterate. And that's what we're doing right now. Now, speaking of switching up and iterating, I traded a lot of metals over the last month and it went really, really well. And we said on the last video we put up, hey, look, What happened here on gold and silver is either a broken parabola or this is a flush, and we will see more legs in the future. And I said that I was going to be entering silver at 85 and cutting if it went below 85. What's funny is I was sitting there on my desk at 3 p.m. yesterday waiting to buy the open on silver at $85, and it dumped so fast I couldn't even buy it. It dumped so fast. Here, let me get my corner going. Sorry, I realize I'm not showing the whole screen. Silver dumped so fast I couldn't even buy it. It dumped down to all the way down to 70. So that wasn't a good sign. Right at the open, it was just such ridiculous, relentless selling. So I know if I was waiting there and was trying to buy it, I know no one here on the channel could have bought it. So in the end, that trade idea gets shelved. But that's the whole thing. We're looking for very simple, high risk or high reward, very, very measured risk trade setups in this environment, right? And we're looking to trade and use trend as our sanity check, right? I think as a sanity check here, it's worth knowing that essentially, let me go ahead and fix this. The chat is a little less cumbersome here. Maybe I could do it so that it's the font's a little smaller. Go ahead and drop that font down. Drop that font down, bad boy. Yeah, let's put this at like 12. No, it's too small. Let's go 16. All right, that's good. Okay. Okay, so looking at gold, it looks bad, right? It looks bad, and it looks like the parabola is definitely broken for a while. But I don't think this is it for gold, right? This is a significant sell-off. But if you remember Bitcoin in 2017 or any kind of parabolic Bitcoin run, you get these washes, you get these leverage rinses, and then they can keep going. And the thing is, we just need to wait. So I've been flat on gold. I exited gold over 5,000, and I was waiting to re-enter, but I haven't gotten the signal yet. So we're going to see if we can build some nice structure here, but for now, flat on metals. And Bitcoin, let's go ahead and get into it, because this is what's been going on Bitcoin, right? Here is my multi time frame chart on Bitcoin. This is how I mostly look at it when I'm trading, is I have the 15 second, the 1 minute, and the 15 minute. And as you can see here, Bitcoin's been doing this thing where it'll kind of dump down. It'll have this level, dump down, touch it again, and then completely collapse. Then it'll have some kind of intermediate level, touch it, and then collapse. Intermediate level, touch it, and then collapse. And then now we're seeing, hey, look, is it going to do it to us again? Is it going to do it to us again? We don't know. We got to find out. But it's been the pattern over the last few days. It's been one of the nastiest flushes. I think it feels a little different. It feels a little more resilient, and the 74K level is a little stronger. So I'm not expecting it to just give up. I wouldn't be surprised if we drifted up towards, even 80K at least, maybe even this prior breakdown level, But at some point, there's going to be a vicious bear market rally. Like, that's just how bear markets are. Because what happens is, over time, everyone gets so negative and so short that everyone starts to short, and then there's a lot of money that can be made in liquidating the shorts on the way up. So you just got to know, if you're just thinking you can flip short here and make a lot of money, the time to do that was up here in the housekeeping zone, right? We made the housekeeping zone video up here while I was on vacation. If you wanted to sell, if you wanted to get short exposure, that was the time, or before any of these like major sell-offs. Right now, the R&R is just a little bit kooky because these levels are actually kind of chewy. If you look here, Bitcoin actually has a lot of levels that it's got supported under it right now. So let me go ahead and show you, because this is where you get the 73 or 73K high, right, from the initial run up from the ETFs that topped in March of 2024. And then we get these lower highs all the way down. Then we get the breakout level, or then we even get the 69K level from the prior cycle. So we have a lot of these levels right under where we're at. And some of them, at least one of them, I'd imagine would have some spring to it, would give some significant buyer support. So if we're not already there, where essentially the risk for shorting has been taken down, I think we're close to some chewiness, where I don't think it's just going to be one of these just like straight shots down. That would be absolutely insane. If that happens, like, we need to have a real talk here, because that's crazy, and we need to really evaluate the state of crypto. For now, we've had a sell-off. We've had the knife has fallen, and it would make sense that there would be some kind of mean reversion here. We should see some kind of, chop, PVP at least. If not, it would be really nice to see Bitcoin start to reclaim some of these levels, and at least maybe go and try to reclaim, maybe try to push back up into the 90s or something like that. I'd be shocked if we just plummeted through. So that's where I'm at. I think the easy money shorting has been made, and now we got to take it level by level. I will say though, if we give up this 74K level, it's not nice. It's not pretty. We would have to regain it very quickly. We'd want to see, you know, a spring down and a regain pretty quickly. And if we then regained it, that would be good, right? Because we could see some fake outs. Again, the market is just full of PvP, leverage trading. So these levels can get violated and retaken very quickly. But it's important to know that if we sustainably go under 74K and specifically under 69K here, it looks like this is the really big next level of support. Of course, you have the 200-week moving average. Again, that's where a lot of people are saying, hey, we have to revisit that. But last bear market, if you remember, we actually went under the 200-week, right? We actually went down to like under the prior cycle all-time high. So there's no rules here. There's no rules. We just have to take it level by level. And now's not the time for hopium, but it's not the time also for delusional bear delusions, because we've just gotten a nasty, disgusting like collapse here. So this is where we're at. You know, Bitcoin needs to make a stand. It needs to have its last stand. It needs to fight here, and we need to see some buyers step in. The reason why things have gotten so bad, in my opinion, is this man. And let's talk about this, because this guy got nominated and then everything just went straight down, like straight down, right? And that, my friends, is a signal, right? It's a signal at the very least that the market does not know how to sort of underwrite this guy. The market doesn't know what this guy, Kevin Warsh, is going to do, okay? So I'm going to play some clips here and we're going to go through them, because I think it's actually kind of important that you understand why the markets are freaking out, and you understand that we will not have clarity on what this guy's actually going to do in his office or in his position for at least 5 months or so, because he takes office in May and he probably won't have his first presser or FOMC, I think, until June. And we won't really get a feel for what this guy wants to do. Now, it might be helpful if he comes out and he talks to the public and he does some kind of address. Trump will probably have him do that. We know that low interest rates are part of the deal, but you have to hear what he has to say, because it does bring into a question a few things. And I want to pull this apart, right? Because he likes Bitcoin, but I think people need to read through the lines. And I think these types of statements are this is why the market's freaking out. Listen to this. I did a video actually about 6 months ago or 3 months ago on Kevin Warsh and why the market spazzed out when he took the lead in Polymarket all those months ago. Let me see if I can bring that video, that Polymarket up. Okay. Actually, yeah. Polymarket. Kevin, or Fed share. I guess that market is done. So yeah, but anyway, I did a video on this a few months ago. Anyway, so let's get back to it, because this is actually no longer meaningful. And we'll listen to this clip and then we'll go through it together, okay?
You made reference to Bitcoin, and I thought I heard a little bit of condescension that people are buying Bitcoin and these things.
But doesn't it, Charlie Munger, this is 2 or 3 years before he died, Charlie Munger attacked Bitcoin. He called it evil, in part because it would begin to undermine the Fed's ability to manage the economy.
Yes. Okay. So this is key, right? Because he's about to say something super pro Bitcoin, but I want you to think about it, not just on its first blush, not just the first impressions, but think about what he's saying, right? Listen to this. And remember, he's not the guy making the decisions at this moment. Okay. So listen to this. He says, Charlie Munger says it's evil. What do you say?
Or it could provide market discipline, or it could tell the world that things need to be fixed.
It could tell the world that things need to be fixed. It could provide market discipline. He's not saying Bitcoin's the savior. It's not here to fix everything. He's saying if Bitcoin, effectively what he's saying is if Bitcoin's going up, it means that the Fed policy is wrong, right? That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying. So that's where I think that people, even though he's saying something positive about Bitcoin, he's also making a point that Bitcoin is actually calling the bluff of the Fed and saying, actually, you're doing it wrong. Actually, we're the cop on the beat, giving you a sense of reality of what the Fed's actual impact is. Think about what he's saying on a deeper level.
Bitcoin does not make you nervous.
Bitcoin does not make me nervous. I can hearken back to a dinner I had here in 2011 with someone who is another guest on your show. I won't say his name. Okay, I just did Mark Andreessen, who showed me the white paper. That was the original white paper. I wish I had understood as clearly as he did how transformative Bitcoin and this new technology would be. Bitcoin doesn't trouble me. I think of it as an important asset that can help inform policymakers when they're doing things right and wrong.
Okay, this is key. He's not troubled by Bitcoin because Bitcoin isn't doing anything. It's just reflecting the policy decisions. And he said when they're doing something right and wrong, right? Bitcoin wouldn't pump because they're doing something right. He's essentially saying, read between the lines, that Bitcoin is effectively going up if they're doing something wrong. Listen.
It is not a substitute to the dollar. I think it can often be a very good policeman for policy. And if I were to speak more broadly to what did Charlie Munger and others perhaps have in mind, there is a proliferation of securities that go under all sorts of names. Many, if not most of them, are not worth what they might be being traded for. So what did Charlie say, and maybe his pal Warren say? There's the innovators, the imitators, and the incompetents. They're real innovators that are happening in and around that new technology. And what I would try to impart towards businesses and bankers is that the underlying technology that Mark showed me in that white paper, or tried to show me in that white paper, it's just software. It's just the newest, coolest software that will provide us an ability to do things that we could never have done before.
So there you get it. He gets the tech, right? He gets the tech wholeheartedly. And he likes the tech. But he's not saying that he thinks Bitcoin is the answer, right? This is a guy who's saying the Bitcoin is effectively reflecting policy errors at the Fed. And I think that's what the market is so spooked about, is that effectively this guy saying that Bitcoin goes up in response to Fed policy errors, which is kind of what we talk about every single day on this channel. I mean, it's the core thesis around Bitcoin is that the Fed is screwing up. In the Genesis block, you have an article that says Chancellor on the brink of second bailout for the banks. This is 100% a technology designed in response to money printing and irresponsible management at central banks. There is no two ways about it. Now, the flip side of this is that just because he talks a tough game doesn't mean that he can change the gravity of the situation, right? He can't change the reality that effectively this is how it works. This is how the markets function, right? He can't change that just because he talks a tough game. You better believe Jerome Powell knew the same thing. So I think you have the attitude and you have the overall statements being made effectively as a campaigner for the job. He's obviously a smart guy. Jerome Powell's a smart guy. But in the end, you can't change gravity. You can't make up down. You can't make blue red. And you can't make a system that is $38 trillion in debt all of a sudden magically a responsible fiscal spender. You can't make it so that the US spends less than it makes and then the trains keep running. You can't make everything just magically fix itself. So will they still stimulate? Will they still effectively provide necessary liquidity to banks when they need to? Of course. Will they smash rates down to zero? Of course. Will they just crank on a free money machine, glitch in the matrix? No, they won't do that. And Jerome Powell wasn't going to do that either. No one was going to do that. So I think there's just a question of expectations right now, and then we just have this big bucket of unknowns. We don't know what this guy's going to do. And that's what's causing the markets to spaz and everything to sell off. And so gold freaked out. It's where most of the profits and most of the excitement were over the last month. It sold off as soon as we heard about this guy. As soon as we heard about this guy, Bitcoin sold off. In the end, the market is just dealing with a lot of unknowns. And in a period where the market's dealing with a lot of unknowns, you have to take a more cautious stance, right? Have to take a cautious stance. Once we got this, and I told you guys for months, we were going to come up, we were going to do our housekeeping in the housekeeping zone. And if we failed to keep the housekeeping zone, it didn't look good. And we failed. That's just the reality. So now we take it level by level. But I will say there are some exciting things happening in the altcoin space. And it's worth understanding that at any moment, it's easy to become overly bearish, to become overly cynical. But it's also easy to become, to find the things that actually hold water and are actually significant throughout the bear market. And I believe that revenue generating protocols that hold their muster, that manage to keep their stuff together throughout the bear market, regardless of bull or bear conditions, those are going to be the ones that are valuable, not just in the next bull run, but throughout the history of crypto. That's what we want to look at. And we're going to be talking about some of those today. So even though it's very tempting to look at all of this and just say we're throwing out the baby with the bathwater, it's very important to realize that bear markets are where you get rich. Bear markets are where you actually get rich because stuff becomes so distressed, so cheap, and you're able to see the teams that keep chugging, that keep providing value, and that are actually able to hold and grow during very tough conditions. A smooth sea does not make a good sailor. A smooth sea does not make a good sailor. Now, I did want to say here, our markets are not the only ones. We also have Cold-Blooded Schiller, who I'm hoping to get on the show soon. He's an absolute legend of trading. He said, look, there's these large slowdowns happening in mainstream markets, but it's not in and of itself a guarantee that things will sell off. But he's saying there's this sort of growing bearish divergence here on the S&P. We've seen a lot of people calling for the S&P to correct. That seems like it's probably not too far off in the distance. Everything seems like it's correcting. Typical 4-year cycle stuff. Again, it's a little bit disappointing to see the 4-year cycle governs everything, but it's also a little bit refreshing because we were saying, hey, look, what might offset this is that we have all this new liquidity coming. We have zero interest rates coming. Well, guess what? They haven't come yet. They have not arrived yet. So all the stuff we're excited about, again, those things will be reflected in the charts as soon as they start happening, which is why I'm pivoting my system to being extremely objective and essentially reactive more than predictive, because the charts will often reflect the most important news when it actually happens. And when we start seeing a rotation into a deeper liquidity environment, we will not miss it. We will be the first ones there. But it's important to realize that that liquidity has not come. I think there was a post here by Raoul Pal where he went through and he showed effectively the updated sort of super cycle, macro liquidity cycle data, right? And he's showing here that the liquidity in the US is actually sunken into the start of 2026. Let me bring this up a little bigger. You can see here that the macro liquidity is actually not growing right now. It's kind of tapering off. You can see that throughout 2025, it's been stagnant. And then you can also see that the ISM is still not above 50 durably, right? You can see that. I will say that these are the core drivers of the super cycle theory, of the 5-year cycle theory. And if these things reaccelerate, we might see things pick up faster, but we just haven't seen them yet. And that's why I think going forward, it just doesn't even make sense to factor stuff in a predictive lens, because in the end, saying, oh, when liquidity speeds up, we will have higher prices. Well, you don't need to predict it. You can just wait for liquidity to start gassing up and then react. And so that's where I think that the most EV is going to happen on this channel with rebuilding our trading system. We'll still find the best narratives. We're going to talk about them today because there are some really compelling use cases and really compelling projects in crypto right now. And when the liquidity hits, they're going to go bananas. But during the bear market, they could be really good DCAs and accumulations. So the goal is to maximize profitability, DCA, and accumulate the good stuff, and make sure that when the market does eventually start to find its footing, that we are well positioned in the good stuff. That's the same as it ever was. But this time, I think we have some really compelling stuff to look at. So that's where I think, hey, we can predict, we can try to predict things, or we can try to react to things. And as you can see, it might be happening right now. That's the thing, is it might be happening right now. What we saw, I think, was a spasm response to this guy, Kevin Warsh. But now we also have this. Look at this. We have Fijao here, macro GCR. By far I think the best commentator on macro is Fijao, because he takes these kind of very disparate concepts and he makes them easy to nibble on. They have a podcast as well called Forward Guidance, which I cannot wait to see their next episode of. But this, he shows that the ISM is actually accelerating, and we're finally getting a rating over 50 as of January 2026. So we've been predicting that the ISM would jump. We've been hoping, we've been praying, but now we're seeing as of this morning that the ISM is starting to show signs of acceleration and expansion. Now, again, the good part about this is that these will be reflected in the charts. We do not have to predict how this affects Bitcoin, how this affects crypto. There's a lot of overhang right now in crypto. Stuff like this, I'm telling you, stuff like this, where is it? Stuff like this is bad for the industry. I'm just going to tell you straight up, the DAT thing, the MicroStrategy, BitMine, all of these vehicles, they actually present centralization and overhang risk to crypto. If you take a step back, we were all like buzzing on a high when we saw that people were going to start buying our bags en masse. But really, that's not what crypto was all about. It was about giving the little guys access to decentralized networks that would take over the world. It wasn't about begging the government and begging big corporations to pump our bags. And it became that. And honestly, it became, I don't want to swear, but it became some absolutely the opposite of some alpha male stuff. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Opposite. Okay. That is not the point of crypto. The point of crypto is we made badass stuff and it took over and we got to buy early. Begging for this type of stuff is not it. It's just not it. Michael Saylor, I think, presents just as much risk to Bitcoin as benefit, right? Maybe more. And so when you see things like, as things get, dicey like this, people are worried. Are they going to have to sell? So that's just the reality. Now, with those removed, and once we get a little bit past this shaky moment, what's the Fed chair going to do? What's Kevin Warsh's policies actually going to be? What is the liquidity environment going to be? There is a very decent case for 2026 shaping up to be bullish, but we just simply have to embrace the fact that the charts are screaming at us that it's just not bullish yet. And that's okay. It's just okay. It's okay for things to not be bullish yet. But what we have to know is that we will be able to find out and we'll be able to realize when they're bullish. We don't need to wait for stuff to go up here anymore. Like, we don't need for it to go up here to know that it's a bull market, right? We don't need $120,000, $130,000 Bitcoin to say, oh, wow, it's bullish. No, we don't need that. As soon as we start getting above key levels, we can start getting a lot more excited, right? We can start getting a lot more excited. Watch this. Very simple. We have here this wick low from the last cascade at about 80K, right? If we get above that, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. And you could start punting, knowing that if it gets below that again, you can just get out. You just need to be nimble with it. You need to have an if-then way of investing. Or you just DCA and know that in 5-10 years, it'll be higher. That's fine. But if you're here in the bear market and you're still grinding every single day, like those like smashers, those like button smashers that I know you're watching this right now, smash the like, please. We need to get the vibes going here. We're not just gonna sulk all the bear market. We're gonna get ahead of this one. And there are ways to do it. I promise you that. Okay? Because there are trades that are still firing. Right? There is money to be made. I'm in groups of people. We're making money every single day trying to trade the markets. If you're not an active trader, that's fine. There's still altcoins going up. There's metals going up. There's ways to trade and make money. We're not gonna have a pity party. We're gonna make money. We're gonna get back on the horse. Okay? And the way we do that is with an objective system. That's how we do that. Very simple. Objective system. If we get above this wick low, this recent collapse of 80K, that's a good sign. Right? That's at least a first level. If we get above this level, back into the housekeeping zone, above 94K, right? That's a very, very good sign, especially if we hold that. That would be very bullish, right? That would mean that we're trying back for 100, that would be exciting. But again, if we then lose it, you just have to be real. That's a bad sign, right? So you just got to take each signal as red light, green light. It's not going to be hard. Simplify it, but be objective, okay? We will see the liquidity hit the tape. We will see it right here on the charts. We don't need to guess. We don't need to pontificate. What I will say is what's happening at Hyperliquid is the best story in crypto. It's the best story in all of crypto. And I showed this chart. I showed this chart here, which is that you have the Hyperliquid HIP3OI. Essentially, this is the stocks, metals, commodities, private market deals. This is everything that's non-crypto, HIP3. There's some cryptos in here, but it's mostly the non-crypto stuff. You have foreign exchange, you have equities, you have indices, you have metals, you have stuff that has nothing to do with Bitcoin. Bitcoin dumps, this stuff does not dump, right? That's like the translation. So if you have a market where people are trading in USDC and they're trading against pairs that are non-Bitcoin, that are non-crypto, and this is the way the chart looks, then you have a product that's growth curve has nothing to do and cannot be hurt by a crypto bear market. That's what's so exciting about this. You're looking at a proof of a crypto product that is a better financial experience, a better trading experience, and that's why people are flocking to it, because you get leverage in huge quantities, you get no KYC, you get instant settlement, and you get 100% possession of your assets at all times. Those are all magnificent steps forward. So this is why Hyperliquid is so interesting in this bear market. It might be the first asset that has cracked the Bitcoin bear market code of being able to say, hey, we're able to provide value, rain or shine. And that's what's exciting about this. Again, it's worth being very skeptical because there's never been an altcoin that has survived and has thrived during a Bitcoin bear market. So we need to keep that in mind, that it's still the case. It's still the case that we've never seen that. However, if you're not following Flood, he's like the captain of bull posting for Hyperliquid. So definitely check him out. Now, he posted this, and this one really got me because Solana was the it coin. It was the Ethereum killer, but it kind of has stumbled around trying to get ahead of this narrative that it's just a meme coin casino. And you see here that hype against Solana is starting to break out again. And it is by far the stronger tokens, especially now. So I think that if you're going to look at which coin is the coin to really be focused on for the next period, undoubtedly this cycle, the first year, it was all about Solana. After March of 2024, or really after March of 2024, if you pivoted into Hyperliquid, that would have been the smart move. That would have been the smarter move because Solana barely got above those March 2024 high. It did, but not in a meaningful way. And it would have been better to pivot to Hyperliquid, right? And Hype is currently the zeitgeist of crypto. And it's always important to know where the relative strength is, okay? Hyperliquid is that thing. Now, Solana is still an amazing project. It is. And I believe that it will be one of the best all-purpose chains. However, it is still competing right now for an identity against an all-purpose blockchain. That said, it very clearly has like the best rails to serve consumer products to retail. And that's why all of the builders that are making the most high profitability, the highest profitability applications are on Solana. Speaking of that, Jupiter, which this channel is partnered with Jupiter. Shout out to Jupiter for supporting the channel during the bear market. They are actually like without a doubt in my mind, this is like the most elite team on Solana. So it's really cool to be partnered with such elite builders. The token, like all tokens, has struggled, but I will say the way that they're shipping is very admirable. They just essentially brought Polymarket to Solana via Jupiter. They have so many products, it's hard to keep up with. Check out this little pitch they have, this little ad they have for Polymarket on Solana. Check them out. They are absolutely crushing it. I'm going to go ahead and bring the volume down so it doesn't kill the earphone listeners. But give us a listen.
Hear what Polymarket is building?
Polymarket. At Polymarket.
Hyperliquid.
The whole world is going to move to token.
Killer, boys, killer. So shout out to Jupe. As you can see here, there was a little clip from my podcast with Meow that we did right back here. You can see he was sitting right back here. I think we do good quality pods here. I hope you guys like them. But definitely check out Jupe. So like as far as like all coins that I think are really serving a purpose, as you know, I'm big on the DEXs, Supernova, Black Hole. Those are going to continue to truck. The DEXs on Solana, Jupiter, the biggest on-chain product in the world. You have the pump funds, which I hate what they did to the industry, but they keep being the casino of choice. But really, Hyperliquid is just such a special project, right? So you have Jupe and Hype are like very, very elite to get access to and to get exposure to, even and during and throughout the bear market. Once we do start finding a floor, I expect for these to be some of the better assets. And look at Hype. I keep bringing this up, but look at this thing, right? It's pumping even today. Even today, it's pumping against pretty much the entire market, right? And I called this out. I put up a tweet. I called this out in my videos. Right as we were breaking $28, I said, hey, look, this is like the key level. If it's able to get back above and hold above $28, this is a huge sign that this thing wants higher and higher and higher. As you can see, it couldn't get above it throughout this early period, and then it went down. Once it did get above it, it took off. And so this is it. This is the key level, right? Let me go ahead and remove these drawings. Get back to this $28 level, keep it clean, keep it classy. But yeah, I mean, look at this Hype chart. It's just absolutely basing off 28, and it looks like it wants to go much higher, right? Of course, if the bear market hits even harder, it'll probably get dragged down, at least momentarily. But this HIP3 stuff means that they're making fees in USD every single day. They can buy back their token, and it is not governed by the same rules of gravity, or at least it shouldn't be governed by the same rules of gravity as the rest of the market. If Hype can pass the test, then it means that crypto has matured significantly. And in my opinion, it is a massive, massive badge and achievement for this industry. So that's why I think we should all be rooting for Hype to blast off and really make new highs. That would be amazing. I'm definitely going to start concentrating a bag even above $30. Feels crazy to be buying alts right now, but it feels crazy kind of not being in Hype right now. So that's kind of how I feel about it. Again, all disclosures, most things will dump throughout the bear market. As you guys know, this is like gun to your head, absolute insane risk. If you're going to buy altcoins, expect them to go to zero. We know the drill. Very risky stuff. Crypto is struggling right now, has a narrative crisis, has a liquidity crisis. So all those things being said, I'm still excited. I'm excited about what's going on with Hyperliquid. And I'm also excited about what's going on with Canton. So for all the XRP normie lovers of the Ripple token, the banker token, this token Canton is actually doing what I think a lot of what we hoped and what we'd expected for even things like Ethereum to do. And that's because these guys have now, this guy on the right here is the CEO. He's talking to Cathie Wood, and he says DTCC, who I forget what it stands for, but essentially this is like the clearing corporation. This is the corporation that holds tradable equities when people want to trade. If you want to trade your equities on a brokerage, you give up your slip to DTCC, and that's where all the trading happens. And then when you want to like remove them for cold storage or something, they come out of DTCC. But they hold over $100 trillion in assets. Just for reference, that's 10 times bigger than BlackRock. That's 20 times bigger or so than Fidelity. This is one of the biggest institutions in the world, and they've just tokenized a whatever. They've tokenized some assets on Canton Network. And this is some treasuries, but it's clearly just a test. It's clearly a test. So the question is this the blockchain that they're going to be tokenizing all of crypto on? Again, I know what you're thinking. Oh yeah, it doesn't matter. Who cares what they're doing? Who cares about it? Utility, but is it going to pump? Is it going to pump, right? That's all I want to know. Is it going to pump? Well, you might surprise you to know. Yeah, it's actually pumping, guys. It's up. It's up. While everything else has been going to zero, this thing has been pumping straight up. It doesn't seem to be abiding by the laws of physics here. Now, I haven't looked into the vesting. I haven't looked into the tokenomics. I don't know if there's a bunch of supply that's about to get dropped on everyone's heads. But I will say, if you watch this interview, it's pretty insane. He talks with Cathie Wood, and he just sort of explains like what is DTCC and what have they done. But it's actually something that is worth paying attention to, because this is absolutely insane to see that there's a blockchain achieving the stuff that we talk about all the time. Like, we want to see a blockchain that is so valuable that it doesn't have a bear market just because Bitcoin goes down. We want to see a team that ships relentlessly, that constantly expands new product markets like Jupe's doing. We want to see a project like Canton Network, which is actually bridging traditional finance and on-chain finance, and has earned the support and has the proof in the pudding of getting hopefully trillions of dollars of assets on chain. We will see how the future shakes out, but I wanted you guys to have these projects on your just in your head, on your roadmap, because these are, in my opinion, the only place you should be focusing. Like, the only place that's worth focusing right now, not as like all-in buys, but just as a way to understand, hey, here's what's going on. Anyway, oh yeah, this is just some of the island drama. I don't want to say his name. Mr. J.E. I don't know. I don't even know if I want to go into this. I was just a little, I don't know. This is insane. If you guys have seen this of the Bill Gates in the new documents, slipping his wife antibiotics and then getting defriended in the process. Insane stuff's going on in the world, guys. Insane stuff's going on in the world. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Do me a favor, if you guys are seeing this, please go and pump this up. Go give this a retweet. We're going to give the vibes as much of a regurgitation, of a revitalization as we can. We're going to hop into the chat now for a little bit of Q&A. I hope you guys have enjoyed this stream. I feel like it's been our best one yet. So I don't know what the numbers are like, but hopefully we can get some good streaming back and forth here. Problem is the masses hate crypto because they hate Trump. Yeah, I mean, look, the Trumpification of crypto, we will see. I don't think history will be super kind to it. We'll see how the cards fall. There's still years left of this administration, so we need to see how things shake out. Sometimes things take time. I don't know. I know that if we lose 74K, it's not pretty. It's not pretty. I also heard something about HIP4. Yeah, they're shipping. They're shipping. If you see where Hyperliquid is. They shipped essentially the ability to do prediction markets. What's really interesting, and I saw a stat about this, is even if they shipped this prediction market, which they're going to do, essentially HIP4 is going to allow for, options and predictions markets. But I saw an analysis that effectively, even if they took all of Polymarket's volume, it would only increase their daily fees by like 5%. So as like fun as this is to get excited about, it doesn't actually move the needle too much for them. their business around what is it called? Perps is really where the big money is, and especially equity and metals perps. So that's where I think the big money is. So anyway, it's a cool thing, but it's not as much of a needle mover. Do I think AI generated gaming will help or hurt crypto gaming? No comment. I think gaming in general is so volatile. It's in such a transition phase, but I think it's difficult. I think it makes it difficult on traditional developers because essentially the moat for developing games and the competition goes up, the moat goes lower. I think it's the same with software development in general. Any kind of software development effectively is the moats have been challenged. And I think that you're looking at an era where there was an interview with Peter Thiel recently where he talks about on Joe Rogan, we spent so long in this world of bits, of computers, and we've accelerated progress so aggressively in the world of computing. And computing wasn't even considered a real science in the 70s and 80s. It was, they called it computer science, and he joked that anything that had the word science after it, like political science, computer science, blank science, he said you called it blank science because it wasn't really science. And that the real sciences were like engineering, physics, biology, etc. And so he said that we spent so long in the world of bits, and that we spent actually very comparatively little time adjusting and accelerating the world of atoms, the physical world. And that right now we're in a transition period to transitioning back to accelerating the world of atoms. Now, I don't know if that's true. It sounds good. It's interesting to think about. Certainly, I'm very long robotics. I'm very long. Right now, I think it's very interesting to be betting on the commodities, the metals that power the solar powered future that AI requires, the robotics future that's obviously going to change the way, for example, anyone with elderly parents. Anyway, if you were able to have a humanoid robot in the house to make sure that they didn't trip, to make sure that there was someone there if they did trip to pick them up, to call the police. Like, there is an incredible amount of elderly care and just overall outcomes, cooking, cleaning, driving, that will come from self-driving vehicles and humanoid robotics. I think that the physical world is getting a huge coat of new paint, right? That being said, I don't know if this is true, but if it is true, I think it just makes life in general harder on software developers. And as you've seen with Claude Code, if you guys are not Claude Code maxing, if you're not getting your hands dirty with this new software, you are really missing out on one of the most incredible moments, I think, in human history. And it might be one of the last moments that you have to really get ahead, where just by being intellectually curious, you can really get an incredible outcome. So I highly encourage you to do that. I'm not going to make this a whole AI thing. We can talk more about that stuff, but it's an amazing time. And I am so fascinated and so obsessed with the systems I've built and the life I'm building that is a result of having AI automate and improve every one of the processes that I hate doing in my life, building stuff to improve that and building products for myself. You don't have to build a product for everyone else. You can build a product for yourself, right? That you're like, oh, wouldn't it be great if this, if that, just do it. Just ask the code and see if you can figure it out. And that process will make you very, very lethal in the new economy. That's what I believe. Thoughts on Zcash versus Monero? I mean, this stuff, the bull case for Zcash, in my opinion, and Monero is socialism, right? And it's just too soon. It's just too soon to be getting all excited about socialism. We don't know what's going to happen on the next election. We don't know what's going to happen. We do know that effectively the Dems will likely recapture the midterm House control, and then nothing will probably then happen from there, and it'll become like a lame duck or whatever they call it. But we don't know enough about what's going to happen in the future. But we know that if we get to a point where any major governments start beginning widespread asset seizures, meaning, hey, if your net worth is over blank, then you need to give us a chunk of it, like after taxes, after everything. That would cause, in my opinion, a rush to assets that are very hard to seize. And Bitcoin is hard to seize, but it's not that hard to seize because it's very public and traceable. Whereas these privacy coins are very hard to seize. And I would think that that would be where I'd see the real bull case. So the real bull case for something like Zcash and Monero is you buy some of it, you tuck it away, and you hope you never, ever see it go to the moon. Because if it does go to the moon, it probably means something very, very bad is happening. But I would say if you put a few $1,000s into Zcash and Monero and put it into a dusty corner of your house, keep it offline, I would say that that would be... If this stuff happens and asset seizures do start happening, that stuff would go to the moon. I mean, that would be worth millions or billions of dollars. Like it would be astronomical upside. But it's an edge case. It's a tail risk, meaning like it's a very unlikely outcome that if it's correct, you don't need to bet heavily on it. It would go crazy, right? It would just be one of those types of schmuck insurance funds, for lack of a better word. Someone said, no hold pal. Okay, pal. Maybe pal. Maybe pal. Now, if you guys remember my content throughout the entire bull run, I said, hey, look, these AI coins are pretty much meme coins with an AI flavor. And some of them do stuff and maybe it's valuable, but none of them are actually being used heavily in the AI industry. And so calling them AI coins, while they may be utilized or had some connection to AI, they were no different in my mind than sort of mimetic capturing the attention of the AI industry. I don't think we'll lose 74, at least not yet. I agree. I think, look, I mean, we're back up at 78, right? We're back up at 78 here. Where are we at? Where are we at? And I'd be drawing too much on these charts. Get this out of here. Yeah, it looks all right. Looks all right for now. Looks all right, huh? Let me get back here to the corner overlay. The 1 hour looks okay. Looks like we're forming, I mean, it looks like we're bouncing off of this micro support here at sort of 78. And if we can make it back up here, like that's the first step into healing. But again, I want to be clear, like and I moved this by accident. It was accidentally like 74 or something. Anyway, we didn't even quite hit this. We kind of front ran it. So it's important to realize we didn't quite get all the way down there. But more importantly, let's go to a full view of Bitcoin here. Like I said before, if you missed that part, there are so many levels here. Stop it, bro. Stop it. Okay. There's so many levels here. We have the, this is just the micro support here of 78. But we have the 73K, which was, or the 74K, right? Which was the low from last year. It was the prior high from the ETF run. Then we have this lower prior high there at 72, right? All of that sort of indigestion that we hit these levels, a lot of times here. Like these are all levels that have had just a ton of price action, a ton of trading. So they're going to be chewy. They're not just going to give. They're going to give speculators a reason to buy at these various levels. So I wouldn't be surprised if, even if we made its way down, it was quite messy. But in the end, losing this level, this is a major, major pivot point, 74. We don't want to lose it, right? The next major like must hold level is really this one. So it's a big way down. I know a lot of people say the 200 week. I think that'll happen. But if we lose this, I would say that the 200 week is not necessarily a strong support. I would look at to where traders have actually traded and transacted on Bitcoin. And this one is gargantuan, right? So that would be where I think we see massive push. But I don't even want to talk about that. Let's take it level by level, peeps. I know that I'm famous on this channel for making massive multi-year predictions, and I told you guys we're going to adjust the trading system. So let's do that. Let's just take it level by level. What's the next question here? Probably hit the 200-week SMA. If we lose 74, then probably yes. War stuff. Yeah, I'm not a big believer that the war stuff is as important in the larger scheme of things. I think it's tricky, Tricky to say. Next good entry on Super. I can't talk about trading a project I started. But just know we're working on it. We're working on Super all the time. An amazing team. And, when the market does flip onwards and upwards, we hope to build the future protocols that matter. Obviously, crypto gaming has gotten absolutely slaughtered. It's been one of the heaviest hit narratives in 2025. And that has a lot to do with the fact that a lot of these games that were coming out didn't perform, right? Super was a meta asset within gaming, and a lot of the games didn't perform. So it's hard to be a meta asset in an industry where the games aren't performing. That's just the reality of why Super has performed poorly. But then again, I mean, it's been pretty much on par with the rest of the industry. I mean, most altcoins have just gotten absolutely slaughtered. So yeah, I think the benefit here is that we have a very cautious, very long-term focused team. To date, it's been almost 6 years. I've never sold any of my founders' tokens, which were multi-generational wealth at many times. But I just never felt like the project was really to the point where I wanted to take profits. So I'm either the dumbest guy in the room, or I'll be known as one of the best entrepreneurs ever to hit this industry. And I hope it's the latter. I'm working hard to make sure it's the latter. Let me go through the chat. Oh, I can actually bring up the chat window here. Silly. Socialism kills societies. Yeah, it does. So any AI coin on ETH that is worth DCAing, I don't know. We'll talk about AI coins another time. I still have massive bags of a lot of them, but I'm just going to let them go to zero if they go to zero. I've held Super since 21. Someone needs to make a sticky game already. I agree, brother. I agree. There's news for the masses and news for the classes. We get the news for the masses. Ignore news. Right. Netherlands is in the process of taxing unrealized gains. Yeah, until everyone with money leaves. They can't stop them. They don't have a global tax regime like America. So everyone will leave and then they'll realize they're stupid and they'll end up changing it. That's just the nature of it, right? Is people will eventually leave. If you force capital like that, they will take off. So that's just the nature of it. You can't force people who have found a path to wealth to give it up unless you do it by force. But the Netherlands are, you know what I mean? They're not going to do that. Canton is eating everyone's lunch. Yeah, it is. Let's go imposters. Yep. I mean, imposters will come out this year. You guys will get to play it. The world will get to see it. Worked really hard on it. Despite all of the woes of crypto gaming, we're excited for what comes. All right, guys, we're coming up on 50 minutes here. Yo from Canada. Big love to all you guys. If you guys enjoyed the stream, please smash that like button, subscribe, and make sure to go pump up that tweet. We're going to keep the vibes going. I'm going to be doing hopefully my best work ever over the next few months. I've been working my longest hours, the longest days I've ever worked, waking up at 6 a.m., working often until 8, 9 p.m., just enthusiastic about where we are as a society and how many changes are happening. As tricky as it is to see crypto like this, with AI, with robotics, with Claude Code, with the ability for you to transform your own skill set and your own marketability, and also print money online by trading, by speculating, by understanding where the world is going. Seek truth, seek answers. Don't get swallowed in this propaganda war, in the doomer pill stuff. Just focus on becoming the best version of yourself, and together we will emerge from this bear market completely different people, and hopefully a lot richer. Hope you guys are doing well, and I will see you very soon on the next one.